A young and aspirational man whose dream is to be a banker, get rich, and take care of his family. But along the line, his intense hunger for wealth pushed him into pulling off one of the biggest frauds in history by arranging a syndicate, impersonating top government officials, and selling a fake airport for $242 million. This video unveils to you the story of the man who masterminded and sold a fake airport. Emmanuel Nwude was born and raised in Anambra State, Nigeria, in Njikoka local government area. Unfortunately, Emmanuel Nwude's age is not publicly known as he has not offered any information about his date of birth. Being a boy born into a poor background, he gradually grew up with the mindset of being mega rich one day, which made him develop an interest in the financial sector. As an intelligent and hard-working man, despite his family's financial struggles, he managed to pass through the 4 walls of the university and became a graduate, followed by his ambitious plans to be rich and liberate his family from the shackles of poverty. He secured a job as a staff in Union Bank, which was one of the leading banks in Nigeria back then. His intelligence, buttressed with his hard work and dedication, made him stay ahead of his co-workers, which made him the favorite staff in the company. As a reward for his dedication, he was promoted to be the director of the bank. As a smart and intelligent man he effectively directed the affairs of the bank and implemented smart business strategies that moved the bank ahead, which gained him massive trust from the bank owners and shareholders. As the director of Union Bank, which was one of the biggest banks in Nigeria as of then, Emmanuel was paid handsomely for his services. He finally achieved his dream target of being a banker and a rich man, but as you may have it, his greed to acquire massive wealth made him pull off the 3rd largest banking fraud in history. Emmanuel realized that being a bank director will not yield him the kind of money he wished, so he thought of a plan to achieve his ambition, and that was where the idea of selling a non-existent airport came into the picture. As a smart fellow, he knew he couldn't pull off the plan all alone, so he had to arrange a syndicate to strategically execute the plan. He met with like-minded individuals, introduced the plan to them. They saw the plan as an insightful idea and formed a team to execute the plan to success. Every single member of this team has high intellect when it comes to the banking system. The main strategy behind this plan was impersonation. Impersonation scams are one of the easiest scams to pull off. This practice involves copying the identity of a known person, brand, or organization for fraudulent purposes. In this case, Emmanuel and his cohorts impersonated top government officials to solidify their plans into successfully selling the fake airport. His cohorts were Emmanuel Ofolue, Nzeribe Okoli, and Obum Osakwe, along with the husband and wife duo, Christian Ikechukwu Anajemba and Amaka Anajemba, with Christian later being assassinated. Every single member of the team impersonated a top government official. Emmanuel impersonated Paul Ogwuma, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria as of then. The team started sending faxes to banks across the world. This fax contains an official letter pretending to be from the Nigerian government, seeking investors to invest in the building of a major airport in Abuja to aid in the development of the country. This letter was carefully crafted with official prints and seals to make it look real. After sending the faxes, they stayed back and waited patiently for anyone who would fall into their trap. Lo and behold, they received a fax from a man named Nelson Sakaguchi, who was the director of Banco Noroeste Bank, situated in Brazil, making his intention to invest in the airport construction project. This put a smile on Emmanuel's face, as he knew he was a few steps away from being mega rich. He picked up a phone and called Sakaguchi, pretending to be the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Paul Ogwuma. With his good communication skill and intelligence, he was able to convince Sakaguchi to believe he was talking to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Mind you, back then the internet wasn't as advanced as it is today, so you can't just Google what the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria looked like. Sakaguchi, being fully convinced that he was talking to the right government official, decided to engage in the deal. Emmanuel told Sakaguchi that the investment deal was highly confidential, that they will need to meet somewhere outside Nigeria and Brazil to close the deal. Both parties agreed to meet in London. The team thoroughly prepared for the meeting. Their preparation includes rehearsing what they will say and also preparing fake documents to back up their false identities and plans. With everything set and ready, the team flew to London to execute their plan. The team has arrived in London. To make things look more real and legitimate, they sent out a limousine to pick up Sakaguchi from the airport and lodged him in a 5-star hotel. With this approach, Sakaguchi was fully convinced that he was into business with legitimate government officials. On the deal day, Emmanuel and his team met with Sakaguchi. Each individual of the team formally introduced themselves to Sakaguchi with the names they were impersonating. Emmanuel and his team laid down detailed airport plans and business proposals while backing their claims with fake documents bearing official seals and prints. Sakaguchi, being fully convinced and eager to invest, told Emmanuel that his company is fully ready to transfer the funds whenever they're ready to actually start the project. Emmanuel, being excellently smooth in communication, was able to convince Sakaguchi into transferring the funds up front, emphasizing the need to keep things ready and employ enough labor for the airport construction. That money will be needed to keep things flowing. At this point, Sakaguchi was a little bit nervous about the idea, but Emmanuel stepped in with a powerful mind game by telling him if he's not comfortable with the idea, he shouldn't worry, that there are hundreds of companies lining up and willing to invest in the project. Upon hearing this, Sakaguchi felt disturbed as he didn't want to miss out on the golden opportunity. However, he told Emmanuel, even if he agrees to transfer the funds, his bank management will not approve of it. Emmanuel made him an offer he couldn't resist by offering him a $10 million commission if he convinced the management to approve the transfer of the funds. Hearing about the mouth-watering offer, Sakaguchi immediately agreed to the deal. Before the meeting was concluded, Emmanuel persuaded Sakaguchi to transfer $3 million as proof of his commitment to the project. After the transfer was done, they successfully closed the deal of $242 million with a handshake for the new airport project. Between the years of 1995 to 1998, Sakaguchi transferred $242 million to Emmanuel and his accomplices. They spread the transfer in banks across different countries to cover their tracks. The team being smart and intelligent, they invested the money in real estate and bought shares in multiple companies. Emmanuel was the highest equity shareholder in Union Bank. In order not to raise suspicion, Emmanuel and his team would send fake airport documents to Sakaguchi, assuring him that everything is running well and smoothly. This was how Emmanuel, led by his team, pulled the third biggest banking system fraud in history, but their victory didn't last for too long. In 1997, a Spanish multinational financial services company, Banco Santander, wanted to take over the Banco Noroeste Bank, which called for a joint meeting of both companies to finalize the deal. On the D-Day of the meeting, everyone sat down. The meeting commenced. Not long until one of the business associates discovered that a huge sum of money was lying somewhere else. Curious to know why, he asked, why should a huge amount of money be sitting in the Cayman Islands unmonitored? This sparked an outrageous concern amongst the business associates, which led to a criminal investigation. Forensic auditors carried out a deep account audit and discovered that the transaction was carried out in 5 countries: Brazil, Britain, Nigeria, Switzerland, and the United States. This threw chaos and discouragement amongst the aspiring buyers. However, to facilitate the sale, the owners of Banco Noroeste Bank paid $242 million out of their pockets. Banco Noroeste Bank was later successfully purchased by Banco Santander, and everyone shook hands in agreement. After paying the hefty sum of money out of their pockets, the previous owners of the sold bank aggressively pushed the criminal investigation in order to recover their money back. Nelson Sakaguchi was arrested at New York's John F. Kennedy Airport and taken to Switzerland to stand trial on charges relating to setting up bank accounts there as part of the fraud. In 2001, Banco Noroeste Bank collapsed and closed down as the bank's finance couldn't stand the trauma of the money looted from the bank. The money in question was 2/5 of the bank's total value and half of their capital. The government of Nigeria received a letter of criminal investigation from the government of Brazil. In the bid to clear the country's image from the ugly fraud situation, the Nigerian president, as of then, President Olusegun Obasanjo, approved the parliament to set up a fraud investigation organization called the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in 2002 to handle the case. Not long after the EFCC was created, they swung into action and carried out a series of investigations to uncover the brain behind the fraud. In February 2004, Emmanuel Nwude and his team were busted. But before they were busted, one of their team members, Christian Anajemba, had died in a car crash, reducing them to 5 in number. They were all arrested and charged in the Federal High Court of Abuja. The Abuja court initially dismissed the case, stating that the fraud did not take place in Abuja. As soon as Emmanuel and his accomplices walked out of the court, they were immediately rearrested and the case was moved to Lagos, another state in Nigeria. Emmanuel, seeing that he's in a deep mess, offered a whooping $75,000 cash bribe to the EFCC chairman, as of then, Nuhu Ribadu, which he rejected. They added charges of bribery to his existing case. With the first plan failed, Emmanuel arranged a syndicate of kidnappers to kidnap the prosecution witness. His attempts failed, and he was charged with attempted kidnapping added to his existing fraud case. In July 2005, one of Emmanuel's cohorts, Amaka Anajemba, succumbed to pressure and admitted to being a partaker of the fraud with the intention to get a lighter sentence. She was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and ordered to repay $25.5 million. Emmanuel's case continued in court. In the bid to obstructly end the case, Emmanuel paid someone to coordinate a bomb scare plan. The man planted a fake bomb in the courtroom. On the court hearing day, while everyone was seated in court, the men ran towards the courtroom screaming, "Bomb! Bomb!" Everyone evacuated the courtroom immediately, not knowing it was all a lie. When bomb defusing professionals came to the site, they discovered it was a fake bomb, and this was the last attempt of Emmanuel trying to obstruct his court trial. Weeks after, Sakaguchi offered first-hand testimony in the Lagos High Court, exposing how he was tricked by Emmanuel and his team into investing in the construction of a fake airport. This was enough evidence to jail Emmanuel. The court sentenced Emmanuel Nwude to 25 years in prison, and his ally Nzeribe Okoli was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Emmanuel's assets were confiscated, and he was charged with paying a fine of $10 million to the Nigerian government. This was the first major conviction for the EFCC. The EFCC chairman, Nuhu Ribadu, made the refund of $17 million to William Ritchie, a lawyer representing the defunct Banco Noroeste. If you've been following this story carefully, you should know that Emmanuel is a very intelligent fellow who knows his ways around things. While serving his 25 years jail term, he bribed his way out of jail. In 2006, he was released from prison. After his release, one would think that Emmanuel would start a new life and leave the things of the past to be. No, you got it all wrong. You see, Emmanuel is an intelligent man. He knew that he couldn't let all his hustle die off, leaving him empty-handed. So, he hired a strong lawyer and filed a lawsuit to the Nigerian government, stating that some of his assets were already acquired before the offense was committed. The case was heard in the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal on May 8, 2015. Emmanuel's lawyer, being so solid, was able to win the case for his client, and Emmanuel reclaimed assets worth about $52 million. Emmanuel became a free man again. On August 19, 2016, a small town of Ukpo in Anambra State suffered a fatal attack by up to 200 people. This attack instigated due to land dispute with the neighboring village Abagana community. The attack led to the demise of many people, of which 4 policemen were shot, and a security guard at a construction site by the name Emmanuel Okafor was killed. The Anambra State Police Command carried out their investigation, and as they went deeper with their investigation, it became clearer to them that Emmanuel Nwude could be the brain behind the attack, because the town of Ukpo is where Emmanuel enjoyed his clout. The police declared Emmanuel wanted, and he was later arrested and charged with 27 charges, including murder, attempted murder, and terrorist attacks, and he was being held at Awka Prison in Anambra State, but was released on bail on December 8, 2016, but still remains in police custody. But his history suggests that he may employ his cunning way to escape justice once again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscription button and like the video. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell too.